Welcome, everybody. I'm delighted today to have a gentleman, Paul Hellman, with me with a very interesting book that he's written. The book is You Have 8 Seconds. It's about communication secrets for a distracted world, and goodness only knows we've got a distracted world going on. I'm fascinated by this title, You Have 8 Seconds. Welcome, Paul.
Well, thank you very much. It's wonderful to be with you.
Oh, it's our pleasure, honestly. Paul, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Give a bit of a background of yourself, what you've done.
Yeah, so I have been a consultant for years and years and years, and I focus in my consulting work and typically working with very large global companies that range from Boeing to NASA to State Street Bank, focusing on what I call high stakes communications. And And by that, I mean, I've got really actually a very low threshold for thinking of something as a high stakes communication. It could be that you've got a big presentation, or it could be that you're a manager and you need to give somebody feedback, or it could be that you're a professional and you're at a meeting and you just want to make an important point and you want to make sure people get heard. So that's the work that I do. This book, You've Got 8 Seconds, is my third book, and I've also done a lot of things on radio and on television. And then in my non-work life, I am happily married. My wife and I have been married for a very long time, which of course is another domain where communication becomes really, really important.
Yeah.
We have 2 children, and now we have 3 grandchildren. And we live just outside of Boston, my wife and I, and we bought this house about 7 years ago, and we look out on this pond, and
Wonderful.
we really just, we really are just really happy here.
Yeah. I had a client the other day say to me, if I had known grandchildren were this much fun, I would have skipped the middle generation.
I understand that totally.
Yeah, me too. And tell me something about you that probably nobody would see on the website. Um, your hobbies or anything?
I used to be a very, very good ping pong player.
Oh, right.
And when our kids were growing up, we had a ping pong table, and when I was growing up, we had a ping pong table.
Uh-huh.
But it has been a number of years now since we left that house and we left that ping pong table. So I suspect I'm pretty rusty at this point.
Right. Yes, it's something you need to keep up for sure. So, Paul, why did you write this particular book? What led you to write it?
I wrote this book because I just work again in as a consultant working in the communication arena. I can't tell you how many people say some formulation of I said it, regardless of whatever it was that they were saying. I said it, but it's almost as if nobody heard it. So again, you could be giving a presentation and you look out at the audience, and half the audience is on their smartphone. Or you could be that manager giving feedback, but after you give feedback, the employee, nothing changes. Or you could be with an important customer, and again, what you sense is they're really not there. They're very distracted. Or even sending an email and not sure that anybody's going to open it, or if they open it, are they really going to read it? And so whether you're talking to a lot of people or you're just talking to one person, or even again sending an email, the question is really how can you get heard? And that's really what my consulting practice is about. And so I thought, well, it's great to do this as a consultant, but it would also be, I think, value added to put out into the world a written book where people could actually get all this information.
So let me understand what you're saying. So this is not just about verbal communication skills. The book's also about your written communication skills.
Yeah, that's right. You know, there's a wonderful quote and it comes from in the United States, a presidential speechwriter who worked for 4 different U.S. presidents. His name was James Humes. And he said, every time you speak, you are auditioning for leadership. Every time you speak, you're auditioning for leadership. And so what that means to me is that every single day at work, everybody is in these moments. And again, whether you're giving a really big presentation or you're just sending out a simple email, all of those are moments where you want to get heard. And even if people don't remember exactly what you say, what they are going to remember is their impression of you. And those impressions stack up over time, and they really can make or break somebody's career.
Yeah, very true. So thank you for giving us that bit about you and why you wrote it. I really want to get into what were you wanting people to be able to do as a result of having read your book? And the operative words are to do. What action did you want them to take as a result of reading your book?
I want them to do certain things that will up the odds in across all these situations we've been talking about that they will get heard. And there are 3 strategies in particular. The first is focus, the second is variety, and the third is presence. And this is what the book is about. And these are the principles that inform a lot of the consulting work that I do and a lot of the speaking work that I do. So in a nutshell, focus, variety, and presence. Focus means not just to say less, which, by the way, is important. I'm always telling people that I want to haunt them with this question: what is the right amount of detail? So part of focus is saying less, but the other part is trying to develop a compelling message, an irresistible message, again, whether it's a short email or a long presentation. So that's focus. Variety, the second thing, is about being slightly different. Why? Because we are attracted, I think we're just built to pay attention to something in the environment, a person in the environment who presents themselves as slightly different. The word slightly is important because you don't want to be so different that you're taking a career risk.
Okay.
And then presence. In the book, I go through 10 things that will increase other people's perception of your presence. And for example, an easy one of the 10 things is what you do non-verbally. And so you want to be very aware of all the body language, your tone of voice, in every encounter, because it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That's brilliant, and I really like that point about focus because we all love quotes, and it's because quotes are generally tight and focused and memorable and paint a picture for us. So I like that point a lot.
Yeah, and it is surprisingly challenging for most people to focus a message because we tend to think in a very free associative, loopy way.
Yeah.
And so to focus a message really is to try to come to grips with, if my audience could only remember one thing, and again, your audience could be one person or could be thousands of people, but if my audience could only remember one thing, what is the one thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Paul, thank you for that. That's been really interesting and useful. How can people get hold of you if they want to know more about you or even get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So my website is expresspotential.com. That's EXPRESS as in express, and POTENTIAL as in potential. expresspotential.com. You can also email me at paul@expresspotential.com. And then to get the book, which, by the way, is now an Amazon bestseller, the book is You've Got 8 Seconds.
Great.
And that's, by the way, in print and Kindle and audio.
Okay. Wonderful. Brilliant. And is your voice on the audio?
Yes, it is.
There we
Yes,
go.
it is. It took 3 days, actually. It took 3 days to do the audio version of the book in a studio,
Great. All
but it
right.
was well spent.
Yeah, wonderful. I do like it when an author's reading it themselves. So, Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so, so much for sharing a bit about yourself and the book with us. People, get it, get hold of it, have a read. I'm sure you'll find it useful and it'll give you something going forward. And until next time, I want to say thanks to everybody. Thanks, Paul. Good to speak to you.
Well, good to speak to you too. Thank you.
All right. All the best now.